I am honored to be here today, hosting our 4th annual celebration to recognize remarkable IDB Group employees who have inspired others to act by promoting equity and inclusion in our organization and in the projects in our region. Every single one of our winners has directed their efforts into building a culture of inclusion, promoting transparency in our work, and with their actions have contributed to a topic that is close and dear to my heart: achieving operational excellence in everything we do. I would like to start by greeting all of our viewers and colleagues who are watching our first very live transmission of this ceremony. We open the doors to the public because you are also play a key role in contributing towards the development of our Latin America and the Caribbean. Setting inclusions and a sense of belonging is a priority. At the IDB Group, we aim at providing methods to promote equity and integration in the region. We set Vision 2025 as our agenda to ensure that cross-cutting issues of gender and diversity are integrated across all the work the IDB Group carries out in the countries we serve and inside of our organizations. The winners that I am about to introduce have contributed to our Vision 2025 by demonstrating that diversity and inclusion drives innovation. The awards are divided in 2 categories: champions and diversity team. And for each category, we have 2 winners. We are proud to share with the world the inspiring stories of these change makers, colleagues who walk the talk, who are passionate about creating sustainable solutions that can accelerate the region's recovery. So without further ado, let's meet our 2021 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Awards winners. I am so excited to present our first winner. This team developed a project with critical stakeholders to implement a model that joined sports with inclusive education as a tool for development in Panama. The project is now a point of reference for other Latin American and the Caribbean. Let's watch a video about our first winning team.
Visualicen una escuela pública en San Miguelito, como muchas otras en Panamá, donde gracias al deporte y al trabajo mancomunado de Olimpiadas Especiales, el Ministerio de Educación, los profesores, padres de familia, los niños y el BID, se ha derribado el concepto de ellos y nosotros, donde se ha gestado una transformación. Allí y en 62 otras escuelas a lo largo del país, los estudiantes con discapacidad intelectual y física participan juntos, de la mano en sus clases de educación física, donde los atletas jóvenes practican desde los 4 años habilidades deportivas como correr y patear la bola a la par de sus compañeros, mientras que los grandes juegan juntos baloncesto, fútbol o balonmano, donde los compañeros se animan mutuamente y celebran sus logros, donde 2.893 estudiantes con discapacidad y casi 20.000 estudiantes sin discapacidad en todo el país han dicho sí a incluir, derribando las barreras físicas y actitudinales que generan exclusión en la escuela, donde ahora cada vez más estudiantes expresan actitudes positivas de respeto, empatía y amistad. A través de escuelas unificadas, como equipo hemos aprendido que cada uno de nosotros, desde donde estamos y con lo que tenemos a nuestro alcance, podemos contribuir a través del diseño y ejecución de proyectos a desarrollar proactivamente entornos que verdaderamente generen condiciones de equidad e inclusión, a través del deporte, de la educación, de los servicios sociales y hasta de las obras físicas. Hemos aprendido a mirar el desarrollo desde el lente de la diversidad, para cada vez más apreciarla y potenciarla. Cerrar las enormes brechas en el acceso a la educación, la salud, el empleo y generar más y mejores oportunidades para las personas con discapacidad motivó a muchos de los integrantes de este mismo equipo a crear el programa de inclusión de personas con discapacidad en Panamá en ejecución. Es el primer préstamo de inversión dirigido a promover la inclusión a través de la certificación y medición de la discapacidad, la mejora de los servicios de detección temprana, salud y educación, y la generación de nuevos modelos para promover la autonomía de las personas con discapacidad. Sin duda que la experiencia de escuelas unificadas nos hizo comprender el valor de la diversidad, equidad e inclusión y nos inspiró a potenciar su efecto transformador.
Hola, me llamo Carolina Freire, soy parte del equipo de Escuelas Unificadas y somos uno de los ganadores del premio del BID a la diversidad y la inclusión.
Let me introduce you to Carolina Freire, Ilia Nieto, David Ochoa, Bélgica Vázquez, Marister López, Emanuel Sánchez, and Ignacio Barragán. Congratulations on such a beautiful project. I am curious though. Could you share with us why your team thinks sports are an excellent platform for strategies of inclusion in the region?
Well, first of all, thank you very much to all the IDB specialists and team members that worked in the implementation and design of this project for 3 years. And we also want to recognize Special Olympics Latin America and the Ministry of Education in Panama for their leadership in implementing unified schools. Unified schools really shows that sports can be a powerful strategy for inclusion in the region's schools. It generates greater interaction between students with and without disabilities, and it can also contribute to fostering inclusive learning environments that put forth respect, solidarity, and cooperation. This project was innovative because it conducted an impact evaluation, and we were able to determine that there was a large increase in self-confidence among students with intellectual disabilities. And we also saw that the proportion of students without disabilities who expressed a greater desire to have students with disabilities among their friends and in their classroom increased. So in order to replicate initiatives such as this, it is important, though, to establish strong partnerships with our government counterparts at the national and the local level, where is the enabling environment where the project is going to take place, and also to engage actors across the school community, including teachers, parents, and students.
Thanks, Carolina. And based on this experience, how will you recommend we mainstream in the inclusion of people with disability in development projects?
I would recommend for the teams, and I think that this team that also is part of the new program for social inclusion of persons with disabilities, be intentional about mainstreaming disability inclusion in projects, meaning that we have to procure an inclusion lens when we conduct dialogue with our government counterparts and during the process of project design. I also recommend the teams, like in this project of Unified Schools, to engage with local nonprofits that work with and are run by persons with disabilities. The motto, "Nothing about us without us," which is used by the disability community to ensure their participation in all programs and issues related to their well-being, should also be our motto when implementing our development agenda.
Thank you, Carolina and team. At the IDB Group, we want to be as diverse as the region we serve. Through Unified Schools, we saw a fighting example of how our talent comes together with various backgrounds and experiences and aligns in making sure our projects are welcoming and responsive to the needs of different countries and groups. And now, our second winner takes us to Brazil.
Sou uma mulher branca, tenho 41 anos, estou bem de saúde, sou casada com meu marido, franco-marroquino-haitiano, há 10 anos. Não tenho filhos e cresci na cidade de Lyon, na França, em uma família de classe média. Mesmo em momentos difíceis, sempre fui privilegiada e ciente disso. Por vários anos, trabalhei em uma consultoria francesa especializada em desenvolvimento na África, acompanhando projetos de serviços urbanos em áreas muito pobres. A questão do gênero começou a aparecer de forma mais sistemática em nossos contratos, e como eu era quase sempre a única mulher nas equipes de assessoria, meus chefes passaram a me atribuir todas as análises de gênero, sem que eu fosse treinada para isso. Ao longo dos anos, me formei com diversos cursos e mão na massa, aprendendo muito com parceiros e colegas. No entanto, percebi que muitas vezes a questão da inclusão de gênero, e alguns anos depois a diversidade, era considerado como uma caixa de seleção, algo para cumprir as expectativas das normas sociais que não tinha muito a ver com o trabalho real. Aprofundando o problema com os meus clientes, compreendi que o principal motivo deste mal-entendido era a falta de conhecimento. As pessoas simplesmente não viam a ligação concreta que poderia existir entre inclusão e diversidade e a nossa realidade profissional. Por isso pensavam que era uma perda de tempo ou uma conversa teórica. Minha geração não teve os estudos de gênero incluídos em seus currículos universitários, exceto no estudo das ciências sociais, onde esse conhecimento era e ainda é considerado natural. Foi então que comecei a me envolver na gestão do conhecimento e na capacitação para abordar de forma concreta os resultados da diversidade, da equidade e da inclusão no nosso campo de desenvolvimento urbano, infraestrutura e habitação. Quando entrei no BID, encontrei um mundo de oportunidades para desenvolver o tema de inclusão de gênero e obtive muito apoio dos meus colegas e chefes. Isso me permitiu fazer alguns treinamentos informais, depois um podcast, um guia e agora, desde novembro, um curso no BID Academy. A lição que aprendi até agora é sempre a mesma. Independentemente do ambiente profissional ou do país, se você dedicar tempo para explicar o que é diversidade, equidade e inclusão e compartilhar exemplos concretos, o entusiasmo é contagiante. Supera-se o constrangimento inicial de alguns de confessar que precisam aprender, descobre-se coletivamente e juntam-se as energias para propor respostas tangíveis aos desafios da nossa região.
Bom dia, meu nome é Clementine Tribuyan e eu sou a vencedora do prêmio Diversidade, Equidade e Inclusão 2021 na categoria Representações.
Clementine, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. We are setting such an example of hard work and having a podcast series that evolved into a guide. And now it is a course in IDB in a BID Academy. This demonstrates your genuine interest in encouraging the conversion on gender equity across conversion on gender and the gender equity across the region. Clementine, I would like to hear more about your course on the concept of gender and diversity in public spaces. How do you expect gender inclusion to evolve in the upcoming years in your scope of work?
Thank you very much, Reina, for the opportunity. It's really an honor to be here today. Well, in my scope of work, which is urban development, housing, and infrastructure in general, I see two main evolutions of gender inclusion. First, gender issues are being broadened to embrace inclusion and diversity. That is, to include questions such as racial issues, LGBT, disabled persons, beyond women inclusion, and learn to think intersectionally, that is, crossing these different layers of identity. And second, gender inclusion in urban planning is also expanding from what often starts with security issues. So we think about violence against women in public spaces, the need for better public lighting or crime prevention through environmental design, for instance, And now this is evolving towards more comprehensive topics, such as functionality in the city, like walkability, sport areas, thought for all, public bathrooms, which need to be gender neutral with changing tables, etc. And urban governance, that is promoting diversity among city representatives in decision arena of all levels, from city council to the condo managers, for instance. And also urban symbolics, like street names, urban arts, etc. Let me give you just a little example, if I may. New Zealand is the first country of the world to have given the right to vote to women in 1893. And Kate Shepherd was the most famous suffragette, and she was known for her peculiar silhouette, always wearing big hats. Well, in 2015, the city of Wellington, the capital city, decided to pay her a tribute, and with her to all the women of the city, by changing the basic little green man symbol of all traffic lights into Kate Shepherd's figure. So this is a great example of a very easy and cheap initiative, and a nice statement on the symbolic presence of women in the city and in the society in general. So inspiring.
Thank you, Clementine. And I also know that as part of your efforts to increase the visibility of inclusion in Brazil, you have conducted pilot projects that support inclusion in the development of social housing. What has been the biggest challenge while leading these projects?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is that it is all very new. So first, people need to get trained, because what are we talking about? Lots of us didn't have any formal training on inclusion and diversity during our studies. Then tools must be created. For instance, we decided to launch a procurement process with the municipality of João Pessoa here in Brazil for a design project of housing units in which we wanted to promote gender inclusion, with gender inclusive architecture, but also gender representativity within the technical team and even among the selected firm. Well, we had to invent the scoring grids of the request for proposal nearly from scratch. Obviously, some prior references did exist. Some other agencies had already done this before, but how do you score presence of women within the teams or other groups? How many points do you give for LGBT representativity, for instance, or for Afro-descendants? These are really challenging questions when you want to transfer concepts into practice. And last, since everything is new, the private sector is also not necessarily ready. So we are challenging it. For instance, in this same João Pessoa call for proposal, one of the candidate companies was so surprised by our diversity and inclusion criteria that it launched an internal debate and ended up starting a corporate exercise of a new inclusion policy. So this is really rewarding to see these kind of things.
Thank you, Clementine. Excellent. The first two winners broke barriers in the region and are great example of efforts that can be designated and can be implemented in countries throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. The next two groups of winners showcase that they are fully committed to taking an active role in making our organization a workplace that champions a sense of belonging and valuing employees for who they are.
Como líderes de uno de los grupos de recursos de empleados del Grupo BID, desde el 2019 hemos tenido una representación diversa de miembros, no solo desde la perspectiva LGBT+, sino también en cuanto a género, nacionalidad, edad, estado civil, estructura familiar y antecedentes profesionales. Esta diversidad ha sido fundamental para nuestro trabajo. Nos ha permitido identificar las necesidades de nuestros miembros y áreas de acción e interés para promover iniciativas de equidad e inclusión y así asegurar la igualdad de derechos para todos nuestros empleados. Como líderes, hemos ayudado a nuestros miembros a tener la oportunidad de ser escuchados, de representar voces diversas y de participar en iniciativas y proyectos que han sido implementados en nuestra organización. Hemos desarrollado actividades académicas, profesionales y sociales para promover el principio fundamental de no discriminación por orientación sexual e identidad de género. Hemos logrado avanzar la agenda LGBT+ de la institución y hemos afianzado la visibilidad de nuestra comunidad dentro del Grupo BID. Asimismo, hemos conseguido impactar las regulaciones y visiones internas de la institución con nuestra perspectiva única de inclusión. Algo que nos enorgullece y creemos que es nuestro mayor impacto es haber logrado estar cada vez más cerca de los miembros de IDB Group, nuestro grupo de recursos de empleados LGBT+. Los escuchamos y estamos a su disposición para cualquier duda, asesoría o apoyo que necesiten, logrando un sentido de pertenencia y asegurándonos de que estén representados de manera real y continua. A través de nuestro trabajo, hemos logrado que el Grupo BID sea para nuestra comunidad un entorno más inclusivo, donde la diversidad de nuestros miembros es bienvenida y apreciada. Si bien queda un largo camino por recorrer, esperamos que nuestro trabajo haya contribuido de manera significativa para lograr un Grupo BID más consciente y abierto a la diversidad, equidad e inclusión. Esperamos que nuestras iniciativas sean la base para el desarrollo de oportunidades futuras y para continuar caminando en la dirección correcta. Porque en el Grupo BID, you can be your true self. Tú puedes ser tú mismo.
Hola, yo soy Lorena Ramírez.
Hola, yo soy Lucho López Torres.
Hola, soy Carlos Argüello.
Hola, soy André Diniz.
Y juntos somos el IDB Group.
Lorena, Lucho, Carlos, and Andre. I want to personally thank each of you because your group has consistently and tirelessly contributed to the IDB Group's diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. Out of the various initiatives that you have collaborated in this past year, I know there have been many, which one has helped advance IDB Group's purpose the most?
Hi, hello everyone. So my name is André Diniz and I am the Vice President of the IDB Group. So first of all, I want to say a big thank you for the committee for this recognition. This visibility is very important to our community. And I want to say thank you to the IDB Group board members as well. Working with you all is amazing. So Reina, it is very difficult to pick only one initiative since, as you said, the IDB Group carried out so many activities. But I want to emphasize two things: advocacy and awareness. So for advocacy, there were two major achievements at benefit level. So the first one is the parental leave benefit. Now the policies include same-sex parents as beneficiaries and also family planning benefits. The policy now includes LGBTQ+ families as beneficiaries of the bank's financial contribution. And on the awareness side, the IDB Group participated in 2 events on LinkedIn, along with other coworkers. So the first one was to talk about the psychological safety for the LGBTQ+ community in the work environment at the IDB. And the other one was, what does pride mean to you? And also some inspirational stories of our community were posted in the Chesky portal with many views and interactions and comments. So it was a very interesting event. So I hope that answers your question. And again, thank you so much for this award.
Thank you, Andre. And as advocates of the LGBTQ+ community, what are your plans to continue building an inclusive environment at the IDB's group?
Thank you, Reina, for the kind introduction and your questions. Hi, everybody. My name is Lucho López Torres, and I am the president of the IDB Group. Our mission is to represent the LGBTQ+ employees to have the same rights privilege, and obligation as everyone else in the IDB under the principles of equality and equity. We have several ideas of actions and initiatives for 2022, but if I have to mention a few, I could focus in the following. First, we want to address the mobility issues in the region for the LGBTQ plus employees, proposing the creation of an official IDB mobility protocol, which defines policies and practice that facilitate common procedures in cases of mobilization of the LGBTQ plus personnel within the region. The second proposal will be increase the LGBTQ plus representation and presence in the IDB group at all levels by hiring and promotion. Third, we want to lead concrete activities to raise and enhance LGBTQ plus awareness in the IDB group, promoting better integration and acceptance of the LGBTQ plus employees, reinforcing the understanding of the unique challenges and circumstances surrounding the LGBTQ plus professionals. Fourth, we want to strengthen and grow relations with external alliances, like our peers globes in other international organizations or multilaterals, such as the World Bank, IMF, IFC, the Organization of American States, the United Nations, and other similar private and public organizations. The immediate benefit of this alliance are that we learn from each other's experience, exchanging lessons learned and best practices in favor of the LGBTQ plus community. Finally, we want to increase the IDB Globe presence in our country offices, in the region and in general. Of course, we want to ratify our advocacy, mentoring, advisor, and representation roles serving the IDB Globe family, assuring that fundamental principle of no discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. Thank you again to the Human Resources Department, the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Group led by Reina, and the Diversity Award Selection Committee for this recognition. It is an honor and means a lot for the IDB Globe and all our members. Thanks, Reina.
Thank you, Lucho, and thank you to the IDB Globe. And now, for the fourth winner. We strive to be an organization that builds spaces and provides the resources for our employees so they can be and they can thrive. One key component to make this happen is ensuring our employees feel confident in reaching out their leaders and work together to build a sense of belonging within their team. Our last winner has been able to put this into practice while leading cross-cultural teams. Let's meet him.
Building a team is never easy, but diversity has always been a North Star while bringing new people on board. I'm proud to say my team, while small, represents what diversity truly entails. Variety of citizenships, languages, looks, perspectives, and experiences. My colleagues are from Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Italia, Mexico, Panama, and Venezuela. And as a fun fact, we cover all the IDB Group's official languages: English, Espanol, Portuguese, and Francais. As a leader, I believe that better ideas are generated when people of diverse backgrounds and cultures come together and get inspired by each other's experiences. When creating this team, I always looked for candidates that would complement each other through their strengths, making sure that differences are respected and embraced, and consequently, contributing to the best way possible. I encourage people's participation and opinions. So as a group, we can tackle our challenges and learn together. By nature, topics under my responsibility are very different and require specializations, creating the tendency to work in silos. Nevertheless, I've seen many situations where different teams were interacting and exploring situations, confirming a sense of belonging and inclusion to a single team. Everyone is different, and as a supervisor, you need to tailor how to make effective communication and work with your team. However, it does not preclude us from being impartial and fair in terms of the attention given to each one of our team, as well as in the criteria to evaluate and reward them. Diversity, equity, and inclusion should always be a pursuit. We should always value the unique opportunity the IDB Group gives us to work in such a multicultural environment.
Hi, my name is Marcelo Agapito, and I'm the 2021 DEI champion for our headquarters.
Congratulations, Marcelo. Your consideration on various dimensions of diversity in your hiring efforts to offer employees the opportunities they deserve has marked a difference in our organization's culture. And I would like to ask you, based on your experience, how has the relationship between quality, performance, and diversity positively impacted your team's engagement?
Sure. But first of all, I'd like to thank you, my boss, Rachel Roboy, for the support and the group for granting me this award. It's an honor to be here today talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Going back to your question, I think we've been able to take advantage of the group's diversity in different ways, but this relationship is more evident when you analyze the different perspectives and approaches that people take to solve problems. A recurring story for me is as the team grew over time, I was able to observe enriched discussions and improvements in processes as new team members joined the team. And another aspect worth mentioning is that we've been able to see a positive impact in engagement by exploring their individual strengths, by providing more exposure, for example, giving them the opportunity to present things to the board and senior management, by delegating and promoting accountability, giving them the opportunity to be the true owners of certain topics, and by giving independency to do their work the best way possible. So I think this combination of diversity with a platform to develop professional growth certainly contributed to improve engagement.
Thank you, Marcelo. And what advice will you offer fellow leaders on the key component of building a multicultural team?
My advice would be to make sure the selection process runs without any unconscious bias. While analyzing the CVs, focus on the person's skills, work experience, and the professional track record. But above all, think about how the candidate can contribute to our team, bringing a different point of view, a different perspective and experience of work.
Thank you, Marcelo. And now that we are getting closer to the end of the ceremony, I want to take this opportunity to let all our winners know how proud I am to see our organization full of incredible professionals like you, passionate to make a difference in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As the chair of the Diet, I want to emphasize the key role each of you have played in our advancements so far, not only in terms of day, but overall in our mission to improve lives in Latin America and in the Caribbean. Taking into consideration the past 2 years have been particularly challenging, your contributions to our organization and the countries we serve showcase that respect, inclusion, and transparency are critical components for recovery and growth. Diversity, equity, and inclusion will always and should always be at the center of all our efforts. We must continue promoting initiatives like the ones shared today to continue making a positive impact and inspiring others to do the same. I am proud to be a leader in an organization that fully embraces the diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda in all we do. On behalf of the IDB Group, I would like to extend our gratitude to this year's winners. Thank you for representing our organization by setting a great example for all of us. We are very proud of your accomplishment and hope to continue hearing your future initiatives. A special thanks to everyone who tuned in to our ceremony to celebrate these remarkable individuals and all their accomplishments so far. So have a great day. Thank you very much.